Pennsylvania, October 11th, Lake Lenape parking area south to Route 191. We are back in Pennsylvania over Columbus Day. I am dropping Dave off at Route 191 at Fox Gap. It was a very steep climb up with the camper, a very stressful drive up with lots of traffic. He will be heading north on the AT. I will be driving over to the Water Gap near the New Jersey and Pennsylvania state line, and I will be heading south. The AT actually walks the roads from the New Jersey state line that I had to drive on to get to the parking area for the trail. We are only doing a short section of the trail today because we had arrived here late from the long drive up here from home. It was a picture-perfect fall day, blue skies with the fall colors and the temperatures in the 70s. I started on the trail with a climb and lots of people going up to see the view of the Water Gap. The view looked over Interstate 80, the mountain in New Jersey, and the Delaware River. The trail continued to climb gradually up to the top of Mount Mincy, which had a wooden sign. I saw a pile of bear poop on the trail shortly after I left the top on a ridgeline. Another hiker had pointed the bear scat out to me. I had met up with Dave at 1:30 as he was walking toward me. We sat here near the trail to eat our lunch. We split up again, and I reached Tots Gap, which is the beginning of the Delaware water area. It has been a nice afternoon with nice terrain and great weather. However, it is difficult walking because of my plantar fasciitis, and I did not take any aspirin because I had slammed the truck doors closed with the aspirin and the keys inside the truck. Dave had told me that he did not have any aspirin inside the pack. To make things worse, I had reached the rocky area of the trail. This is not going to be very pleasant. The trail started its descent to Route 191 as I reached Kirkridge Shelter. The shelter was a stone shelter with a wooden roof. A communication tower is on the hill behind the shelter. The privy is not far from where the tower and a dirt road that leads to the tower. Dave had come back up the trail toward me from where he is picking me up with some aspirin. I was not far after from where I had left the shelter. We walked together down the trail to the Route 191 parking area and the camper where we will spend the night. October 12th, Route 191 south to Route 115. We drove over to Route 115 at Wind Gap, and I dropped Dave off here, and he will be heading north. I will be driving back to Route 191, and I will be heading south from here. I reached the climb up to Wolf Rocks, which had a bypass trail. The trail goes up large, slanted slabs of rocks that you have to scramble up in a pine forest with some mountain laurels and rhododendrons. I reached the top of Wolf Rocks, which was similar to Cat's Rocks in New York. I had reached the section of the trail, which was our first real taste of the famous Pennsylvania rocks. They do get to you after a while of walking on this pointy rock path. No ground here to put your feet on, just a lot of pointy rocks. You are constantly banging your toes on these rocks, which is a mix of small pointy rocks and round rocks. Your eyes are always looking down on the trail to find places to put your feet. The poles help you from falling on the trail. However, here it is difficult to find a secure place to put them, where they do not slip on a rock or get stuck between rocks. I saw Dave heading towards me with his music on, and he had not seen me yet because it is still early. We stopped here to eat our lunch and then headed back onto the trail again, with Dave with his headphones back on and cruising down the trail. I had been over an hour on the trail after leaving Dave. Lots of those rocks on the trail made for a slow hike over this area. I finally got clear of the rocks on a nice dirt path and found a lot of blueberry bushes here. This section is very pretty as far as the fall colors go, with lots of red, orange, and yellow foliage out here. I had hardly seen anyone else on the trail so far. It was not as popular as it was yesterday. I guess that it is because of these rocks. I crossed a dirt road, and shortly after I saw Dave heading back up to me again. This time he had brought me a snack. He always gets out before me. The Wind Gap parking area, where we came out, has a trailer park on the other side of the parking area. We drove to a Gameland parking lot down the road that I had seen when we had arrived for our hike today. It was a nice camping area, and we had a pleasant night here. October 13th, Smith Gap parking area, north to Route 115. We ended up driving to Smith Gap, a really steep and winding dirt road, where Dave had dropped me off, and I will be heading back to Route 115, where I ended my hike yesterday. He will be driving back to Route 115, and he will be heading south towards me. Today it is cloudy and foggy up here with a 40% chance of rain, and it is warm out. This section of the trail started off smooth, with no rocks on the trail and an easy treadway. I had reached Leroy Smith Gap Shelter, a log-style lean-to, just as it started to rain. I decided to wait here for Dave. We had our phones with us on this trip, and I called Dave to let him know where I was. He said that he had a GPS on his iPhone and that he was about a mile from the shelter. I had lit a candle in here and had eaten all the snacks in my fanny pack as I was waiting for Dave. I am waiting here instead of hiking towards him because it is raining pretty steady outside, and I did not think that we would find a dry place to sit and eat our lunch together. He had the longer drive around to get onto the trail, so I am ahead of him on the trail, and this is the nearest point to our halfway point on the trail. I'm still waiting for Dave, and I am reading the shelter logbook. I found something that I had never seen in any other shelter logbook. It is a guideline for hikers on the trail, printed on a paper attached to the inside of the front cover. It refers to staying safe on the trail by not talking to strangers, not broadcasting your itinerary to others, and not to underestimate the use of trail registers, using not only your trail name, but your real name in the event that something happens to you. Dave finally arrived, and we ate our lunch. It was still raining when we had finished our lunch. After we split up, I had reached the rocky section of this trail, just like yesterday's section, and it lives up to its reputation. We had read books, listened to audiobooks, and watched videos of the Appalachian Trail and about how bad this section of the AT is. It is often referred to as the place where boots go to die. I reached a section near Wind Gap, and it was very grassy and grown in with a lot of wet brush hanging over the trail. The rocks were also wet and very slippery. I reached the area with the views. However, it was too hazy to see anything out there. I passed a few through hikers on the trail heading south and some long section hikers. I found a blue tarp that was left in the woods beside the trail. It looked like someone had just left it here with what looked like 5 days of food. It did not look like trail magic. It just looked like someone just abandoned it. I reached Wind Gap, Route 115, and it was very loud with traffic noise that I could hear before I had reached the road. October 14th, Smith Gap parking area south to a power line clearing. We are hiking this section together on our last day on the trail. It will be a 3-mile hike out and back to Smith Gap. It was a nice windy and sunny day with blue skies after the cloudy and rainy day that we had yesterday. The leaves here are at their peak, and we had seen the best fall color today with the sun making them bright with the blue sky background. The trail here was mostly flat with some piles of rocks. In some parts of the trail, we were actually able to put our feet on dirt ground. But then we entered into the rocks again. We passed a trail that went down to a spring. Unfortunately, you have to descend down off the trail to get to the water source. We had seen some nice camping areas up here, not official campsites. However, they were in nice areas along the trail. We reached the power line where we will have to come back to when we return to Pennsylvania again. We found a nice log to sit on and ate our lunch before heading back to our truck and heading home. It is always sad to leave the trail on such a nice day when thru hikers continue their hike heading south. I really envy them.